it's exponentially harder for us to do other things, and our strategy that we've disclosed and articulated to our shareholders is to acquire and to hold Bitcoin. Bitcoin's about $1 trillion asset class right now, but there's no reason why it shouldn't aggressively grow to replace gold, which is a $10 trillion asset class. I think it'll grow fast toward gold over the next 3 to 5 years, so you can back into what that means. Clearly, I think Bitcoin's going up. And I think once it gets to gold, it'll be worth double, triple, quadruple gold, and eventually it'll become a $100 trillion asset class. So at gold, it's worth 500,000 a coin. When it replaces the 100 trillion in treasury assets like weak bonds and negative yielding debt and money indexes, I think it's $5 million a coin. So I can't give you a short-term forecast, except that it's been going up 200% a year. So I'd be surprised if it doesn't keep going up 200% a year for the near future until it flips gold. And my advice to anybody is don't get caught up in day-to-day volatility, week-by-week volatility. Don't buy it as a speculative asset. If you invest in Bitcoin, invest in it because you want to hold it for the rest of your life, right? You're going to hold it for a decades. You're going to give it to your children, right? Why would you ever sell an asset which is the most thermodynamically sound, technically superior monetary asset sitting in cyberspace? It's the least likely thing to be impaired. You can take it with you anywhere on Earth. There's no reason why you can't hold it forever. And so if you have a long time horizon, look at your year over year, every 4-year performance, and then I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. You're just going to give yourself a heart attack, and it doesn't matter. That's coming back to 99.99% of that information. It's just noise. It's not signal. You should ignore it. It's clear that the human race needs monetary property in order to have property rights. And if you're going to have property, you would like perfected property. An example of defective property would be I sell you swampland in Florida. That's not as good as selling you a block of Manhattan built on granite. I think people intuitively understand a building that'll last 100 years is better than a building or a shack that's made of palm fronds. One property is better than the other. Swampland is not as good as granite land. I think Bitcoin is digital property, and so it's been engineered to be durable property with integrity over time. And I think that makes it a macroeconomic solution to the problem of monetary inflation or savings over the long term. And I would say on that basis, it replaces the mythical gold storage vault as a long-term store of value. But I think that the other thing that's critical to understand about Bitcoin is the digital part of the property. It's not just engineered property that's better than other types of property, but it's digital, which means that you could take $1 billion of property from a building, or $1 billion of land, or $1 billion of gold, or $1 billion of a company, or $1 billion of commodities, livestock, timber, coal, bushels of corn, whatever have you. You can take that $1 billion worth of property, you can dematerialize it to a set of private keys that have no mass, no weight, and that means you can move it at the speed of light. And the second thing you could do is program it. So if I can dematerialize $1 billion, then I can program it, and if I can program it and move it at the speed of light, and I can compress it so it takes no space, I can put it on a mobile device. And this is pretty much the most powerful idea of the 21st century, which is every great company, Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Google, they've all become $1 trillion assets. because they digitize or digitally transform some part of our economy, be it digital relationships or digital photos or digital books or digital maps. If you have digital property, it means that you can give property to 8 billion people on a mobile phone that costs $50. And at that point, the property gets smarter at the speed that the chip gets smarter. I think that digital property is the same idea, which is I take my money, I put it in the palm of my hand, and now I can move it 1,000,000 times a second. I can search 100 million companies in the world and find the one company for Saturday afternoon that's willing to pay me a yield on my property or rent it from me. And the idea that I could actually shop my property or my money to 100 million companies 1,000,000 times a second is a big idea. It's a big enough idea that digital property should demonetize most other forms of property. Just like digital maps, kind of, I don't know what the word is, but digital maps destroyed paper maps. You won't find anybody with a car, anybody in the world carrying paper maps around. They're gone, they're digitally transformed. And digital music, took out all of the CDs and the phonographs and the records. No one hires an orchestra to come into their home to play music for them. They use their mobile phone plugged into Pandora or Spotify. And so digital property is the basis of the 21st century economy. And that's why the world needs Bitcoin. I think that there are a lot of strategies for investment. One strategy is just to buy property and hold it for 100 years. Mm-hmm. That's like the equivalent of like buying all the land in New York City and just holding the land and being a landlord. I think there are other business strategies like renting, like generating yield, trading it, developing it, building buildings on it, building companies in the buildings on it, becoming investment bankers, spying and selling the companies in the buildings on the land. All of these are different things you can do. MicroStrategy's strategy is just to buy it and to hold it. That primarily is because of the accounting, the tax, and the corporate governance issues that we face. That it's exponentially harder for us to do other things, and our strategy that we've disclosed and articulated to our shareholders is to acquire and to hold Bitcoin. But no doubt other companies and other investors will do more things than just buy and hold.